You're going to hear it on your screen or on your webcast. And it is sunny, though, and no rain expected in the forecast. So 1-1 count here on Blaine Thibault. This is the Rusty Jiggers from Ontario versus the Coors Light from PEI. Blaine Thibault, Robbie McGutty, and Joey Smith coming up with Jeff McLeod should anyone reach. The 1-1 just missing, or actually strike 3 here on Thibault. So Thibault out on strikes for the first out of the game. We're just getting settled in here, trying to battle this wind. It is something else.
Robbie McGinty.
And we're going to try to get this broadcast in from the Community 1 tent on Field 2. And meanwhile, they got senior men's action going on over there. In Field 1, you can watch the semifinals over there. And the Masters are here. B. McLean Sports on Twitter. Community1sports@gmail.com. Hope to hear from you throughout the day. Just off the plate. On the mound here is Glenn Dorrington for the Rusty Jiggers. And there for a strike. Our first game in the Masters division. They've been waiting to get on the field here all week long. Just off the plate. We'll go to a 3-2 or a 1-2 count here. On Robbie McGutty. Smith and then McLeod again, should anyone reach. Up high and striking out. 2 strikeouts now. Thibault, McGutty, both out on strikes. And here's Joey Smith.
Coors Light, number 77, the shortstop.
So Joey Smith, and then again McLeod, should anyone reach. Shannon Ellis into the game. He'll be the third baseman. Originally, it was going to be Paul McKinnon. But a late substitution for Paul McKinnon as Shannon Ellis was brought in. And basically the wind has died down substantially. The rain has stopped. We're just getting ready for a cold night. Temperatures are supposed to get down to about 10 degrees tonight here in late August in Charlottetown. So everybody got the blankets out, the coats are ready to buckle up for what should be a cold evening at the ball yard. 1-2 on Joey Smith, the shortstop. Appeal down to first base. Did not go. 2-2. Again, contact information on the screen. Hope to hear from you wherever you're watching, whether it be locally, in PEI, or in Ontario. Coors Light PEI team against the Rusty Jiggers from Ontario. Up high, and they will lose Joey Smith. Down to first base goes Joey with a walk, and here's Jeff McLeod. McLeod batting from the left side, the right fielder. Our first Masters game was 7 games altogether. These 3 teams in the tournament, they'll play each other 4 times before making their way to the championship game.
Next at bat for.
And this was a scheduled 6 o'clock start, so
17, the left fielder, Jeff McLeod.
these guys were rambunctious. They're ready to go. A 5:55 start here. Umpires ready to go, players ready to go. Striking out is Jeff McLeod. 3 strikeouts in the inning for Glenn Dorrington. So no hits, none left on base, or 1 left on base, no runs, no errors. 4 men come to the plate. And 3 strikeouts again for Glenn Dorrington. And now we'll see Mike Bishop take over here for the Coors Light PEI team.
Rusty Jiggers is a left fielder, number 55.
All right, to it here in the bottom of the second. Kent Campbell, Frank Farrell, and Ken Hendry all coming up with Jeff Donaldson, should anyone reach. The wind a-howling here at the Community One broadcast tent at Field 2. Not as bad as last night, though. Last night, if you were with us for that senior game between BC and Quebec at this time, man, oh man, it was wild and wacky stuff here at the facility. McGregor is your catcher, forming the battery with Mike Bishop. Ellis, the third baseman. Smith, the shortstop. McGunty at second base. Cox at first. And there is a play for Bishop. Nicely done to Cox. 1-3 goes Kent Campbell.
Jiggers is the catcher, number 9, Frank Farrell.
McLeod in left. Tebow in center. And Morrison in right field. Here is Frank Farrell, the catcher. The old Community One broadcast tent holding up pretty good, considering. And hope to hear from you on the broadcast. CommunityOneSports@gmail.com. B. McLean Sports on Twitter. Let us know where you're watching from, who you're cheering for. Shout-outs, comments, opinions, feedback. All right there. On the Twitter and the email. And there for a strike, 2-1. Farrell and then Ken Hendry. Should Farrell, and then Jeff Donaldson, should anyone reach. Change up in there and a beauty. 2-2. 2 balls and 2 strikes. High into center field. Coming over is Tebow. Can't make the catch. Gets past him to the wall. Chugging around is Farrell. He'll head to third. The ball comes into the infield. And Farrell has a stand-up triple.
Next at bat for the Rusty Jiggers is the shortstop, number 13, Ken Hendry.
Tebow got over there, but just couldn't extend. That ball kept blowing away from him. The wind is, you can't even describe the wind. It's just swirling, just all over the place. Right to left, left to right, in, out, whatever you like. These are swirling winds right now at the park. Chance for the third baseman, Ellis. Double clutches, can't make the play, and down at first with a bunt single is Ken Hendry. So Henry at first base.
Next at bat for the Rusty Jiggers is the center field, number 43, Jeff Donaldson.
A triple for Farrell, a single for Ken Hendry. And here's Jeff Donaldson. Donaldson, the cleanup hitter. Dorrington to follow. Gets a bunt down, but it's fouled on the first base line. We're just getting started here. At the bottom of the first on a, I was about to say beautiful. You always want to say beautiful when you're in Charlottetown because it's just a gorgeous city. especially this time of the year. But the sun is shining, but it's going to be cold tonight, and it could be a little windy as well. In there for a strike, 0-2. Down to second base goes Henry. So runners at third and second here in the form of Farrell and Henry. And here's Jeff Donaldson with the 0-2 count. Just off the plate, 1-2. Glenn Dorrington to follow, and if anyone reaches, Mike Hutchinson, the third baseman. The Rusty Jiggers from Ontario. Threatening here in the early going. Foul tip back to the backstop, 1-2. So we'd love to hear from you folks in Ontario. On the Twitter or the email. Missing on that is Donaldson. He's out on strikes. 2 outs in the inning. And now here's Glenn Dorrington. So Dorrington will try to help his own cause from the plate.
Coming up at bat is the pitcher, number 22, Glenn Dorrington.
Again, you can see on your backstop camera and other cameras the wind just blowing the uniforms and the pants around. The big heroes the last couple nights have been the PA announcer and the stats crew behind home plate. The way they have hung in there trying to keep this game organized. And that kiosk behind home plate. I looked over there last night when we were doing our game, and they were just getting blown around like crazy. But they've hung in there. 1-1. Coming up on Dorrington. Dorrington struck out 3 men in the first inning. Two outs in the inning. Runners at third and second. Mike Bishop trying to get out of a jam. There comes his 1-2. Up high, 2-2. Outside, and that spring-loaded fence we've been talking about this week. Both the backstops here and over at field 1. That ball quickly comes back after off these fences. So no luck on coming home there for Farrell. 3 balls, 2 strikes. First base is open. And a walk for Dorrington. The base is now loaded. So a triple, a single, a walk. The base is loaded.
Jiggers is the third baseman, number 87, Mike Hutchinson.
Up high. And contact information on your screen. Would love to hear from you. Help keep me warm here on this chilly night in Charlottetown. Two and 0 in the early going on Hutchinson, the third baseman. The 2-0. In there for a strike, 2-1. Here's our first email or our first tweet. Thanks very much, Karen Gelino. Karen, reaching out on the Twitter, cheering from Richmond Hill, Ontario, home of Mike Hutchinson, and scoring on this pass ball is Farrell. So that ball sat down after it hit the fence, and that'll allow Frank Farrell to score. He made his mind up right from the get-go that he was going to come home and score on a pass ball. So Farrell stands up safely, 1-0 here for the Rusty Jiggers. So Karen Gelino from cheering on Dorrington from Richmond Hill, Ontario, home of Mike Hutchinson. Thanks very much, Karen Gelino. Our first tweet of the night. Great to have you with us. Up high, and another walk coming up here. So runners or bases loaded once more.
Next up, Ken
Henry at third. Dorrington goes to second. Hutchinson to first. And here's Finton Farrell. So Frank, the catcher, and Finton, the second baseman. Comes in for a strike, 0-1. Oh, 2. Mike Bishop a strike away from getting out of this inning with just one run and a bases-loaded jam. This is a doubleheader between these two teams, the 6 and the 8 o'clock games, to kick off the Masters schedule. Nova Scotia will arrive tomorrow, and a busy day for the Masters. The 0-2. Down low, and actually check that 3-2 down low, and that went off the foot. I was going to say that wasn't that many pitches. That went off the foot of Finton Farrell, and he's shaking it off down there at first base. But that's a great. If you got to get hit by a pitch right up around that top of the foot by the tongue, he's shaking it off, but a lot of little bones in that top of the foot. But he's okay down there at first base. A run coming home definitely helps out with the pain. Bases loaded again, 2-0. And here's Bob Underwood. Underwood, the right fielder. The 8th man to come to the plate in the inning, Billy Carson, would follow. And there for a strike, 1-1. Double action going on. Field 1, the seniors. Field 2, the Masters. Great to have you with us. That's fouled off. And heads up over there by the first aid tent. Nearly takes out a couple pooches over behind the fence. 1-2. And did he go? They're going to say no. And Dorrington out at home. That was a great play by the catcher. And Bishop got in there. McGregor and Bishop combining to get Dorrington as he tried to get home. So Dorrington out at home plate for the third out. 2-1. And we'll go to the second inning in a 2-0 game for the Rusty Jiggers.
Team Ontario scored 2 runs on 2 hits. There were no errors and 2 runners were left.
Sean Ellis, Mike Bishop, Gordy Cox, Chris McGregor coming up, should anyone reach.
Shannon Ellis.
All right, here we go with the top of the second inning. Sean Ellis grounding out here to second base to Farrell. Farrell to Cox. That'll do it. For Ellis, 1 pitch swinging, and he is out for the first out. Mike Bishop, then Gordy Cox.
PEI is the pitcher, number 15, Mike Bishop.
McGregor is the catcher. Hutchinson at third. Henry is the shortstop. Finton Farrell at second. Cox at third. Campbell, the left fielder, Donaldson, the center fielder, and Underwood, the right fielder, going from left to right on your screen. And 2-1 here on Mike Bishop. Bishop, the pitcher, looking to help himself out. A 2-0 second inning lead for the Jiggers. And out in front is Bishop. One and two. In there, strike three. Bishop called out on strikes.
Now at bat for Team PEI.
Now here's Gordy Cox.
Number 9, Gordy Cox.
That's the fourth strikeout for Dorrington. Swinging and missing is Cox. 2 outs in the inning. 0-1. Chops that one away, 0-2. Over there in field one, no score through 2 innings. In the seniors game between Kelly's Pub and Three Cheers Pub. Gordy Cox can't catch up with that. He's out on strikes. No runs, no hits, no errors, none left on base. No hits allowed so far by Dorrington. He's seen 7 men. The only guy who's reached was via a walk.
Enjoy the best softball competition Canada has to offer.
Karen Gelino on Twitter. No problem. You're welcome for that. My pleasure. And then you can reach me out. You can reach to me as well. Reach out to me at B McLean Sports on Twitter and community1sports@gmail.com. Would love to hear from you. Comments, feedbacks, opinions, shout-outs, all right there. On your email and Twitter. Out for his second inning is Bishop, Underwood, Carson, Campbell, and Farrell, should anyone reach.
So hard to make the Canadian Championship successful and enjoyable. Thank you also to the fans for their support, to the sport of softball, and to the athletes taking part in these competitions. Now up for Team Ontario.
So here comes Bob Underwood, the right fielder.
No, it's the first baseman.
And Bill Carson, should anyone reach, or should...
36.
Yeah, you're 3,
Underwood.
6, 7. Underwood and Carson, and back to the top of the order for Ken Campbell. Up high. 1-0 on Underwood. One and one. One and two. 2 swinging strikes here for Underwood. Can't catch up. The 1-2. Up high, 2-2. The 2-2. Chopper. Bishop. Nice play. Down to first. Bishop to Cox. Underwood out 1-3.
For the Rusty Jiggers is number 99, the first baseman, Billy Carson.
Here's Billy Carson, the first baseman. A big guy right here. He stands about 6'5", 6'6", batting from the right side. Swings and misses, strike one. One out in the inning. Kent Campbell at the top of the order to follow. Inside 1-1. Again, the winds are swirling, to say the least. And unable to hold back is the big first baseman, Billy Carson. One and two. Punching that out into center field is Billy Carson. He'll be at first with a single. So a 1-2 pitch. Just put the bat on it. Got the barrel out there and let the ball do the work out into center field. Carson at first base, and here's Kent Campbell, who grounded out to the pitcher in his first at bat.
Now at bat for Team Ontario is the left fielder, number 55, Kent Campbell.
So yeah, I'm going to go ask Billy Carson how tall he comes in at on the tape. Chopper just foul down the third baseline. Or if you know out there, let me know on the Twitter or the email. He's a big dude. Looks like he's about 6'5", 6'6", the first baseman. Gonna have a long, cold night here at Field 2. Temperatures expected to get down to 8, 9 degrees once the sun goes down. Right now we're enjoying this sunshine. Pitch bounced out in front of home plate, gets past the catcher, McGregor. And down to second it goes Billy Carson. So Carson at second base. The 1-1. Up high, 2-1. Frank Farrell to follow. Into left field. Rounding third and heading home is Billy Carson. He will score. And into second goes Kent Campbell. So an RBI single for Kent Campbell.
Frank Farrell.
So Campbell at second with an RBI. Billy Carson in, makes it 3-0. Pitch into the dirt, down to third goes Kent Campbell. 0-1. 3-0 in the bottom of the second. High in the air, and that should score a run. And coming home on the sacrifice fly will be Kent Campbell. So Kent Campbell gets himself an RBI double. Goes into third and scores on a sacrifice fly RBI from Frank Farrell. Ken Henry coming up. Henry singled and scored. Off the outside of plate, 1-1. Henry singled and scored back in the first inning. Up high, 2-1. Jeff Donaldson would come up. Should Henry reach? A chopper in front of the plate. And unable to make the play is the catcher McGregor. So Henry down at first base with a little chopper single. He's now 2 for 2.
Center fielder number 43, Jeff Donaldson.
Here's Jeff Donaldson. Donaldson and then Dorrington, should he reach. Donaldson struck out back in the first. Gets into one here to right field, but coming over, actually going to drop in front of Morrison rounding third. They're going to be a play at the plate. Sliding in safely is Henry. So Henry, the fourth run, or the fifth run, sorry, to come across
Number 22, Glenn Dorrington.
for the Rusty Jiggers. And Jeff Donaldson down to second base with an RBI double. Here's Glenn Dorrington. Dorrington walked. And it was forced out at second base. Oh and 1. Just off the plate, 1-1. Down to third will go Donaldson. So an early show of force here from the Rusty Jiggers, leading 5-0 in the second inning. Off the plate, or on the strike, sorry, again, this umpire got the classic delayed strike call. Love it. Calls strike on the field and then gives the hand signal about a second later. That is in to left field. Flying out to McLeod is Dorrington, and that'll do it for the Rusty Jiggers. In the second inning, they send 7 men to the plate and they score 3 runs on 4 hits. They leave 1 on. No errors. We'll go to the top of the third. In a 5-0 game for the Rusty Jiggers, Coors Light trying to get something going with the sticks.
Hosting partners, the city of Charlottetown, the Charlottetown Tourism Accommodation Levy. Farrell Ford and Pepsi. Our home run sponsors.
So back to it here in the top of the third.
Storm,
Chris McGregor, Derek Morrison,
our triple sponsors,
and back to the top of the order with Blaine Thibault. Coors Light still looking for their first hit.
Number 44.
So trailing 5-0, looking for the first hit. Comes up PEI, the Coors Light guys. Trying to get something going to start off this tournament. Our opening game of the Masters of the 2014 Championships from Charlottetown. American woman cranking out there for a second. Chopper back to the pitcher. Dorrington is there. Takes his time, and he'll get McGregor 1-3. First out of the inning, here's Derek Morrison. So no hits so far. The only runner who reached was Joey Smith via walk with 2 outs in the first. 5 strikeouts for Dorrington. First pitch swinging, and out in front is Derek Morrison. Well, again, the blankets and the jackets are in the crowd because once this sun goes down about an hour from now, it is going to be frigid already. Chilly here at the Community One broadcast tent beside Field 2 in Charlottetown. Going to have a great weekend the rest of the weekend. Fouled out of play. Heads up over whereby you get your tickets. 2-2. Dorrington. Poke down to first base, and no problem for Derek Morrison. He'll make the catch in the air, and that'll do it. Or for Cox, sorry. That'll do it for Morrison.
Is the center fielder, number 34, Blaine Thibault.
So Cox makes the play, and here's Blaine Thibault. Thibault struck out back in the first inning to begin the game. In there for a strike from Dorrington. Coors Light still looking for the first hit of the game. Down low, 1-1. They got no score over there in Field 1 between Kelly's Pub and Three Cheers Pub in the Seniors Division action. Should Tebow reach, we would see Robbie Magatti. 2-1. 2-2. Strike 3. Tebow. Six Ks now for Dorrington. And that'll do it in the third for Coors Light. Mike Hutchinson, Vinton Farrell, all coming up. And Bob Underwood to bat third. Billy Carson, should anyone reach. Dominant performance so far for the Rusty Jiggers as we head to the bottom of the third. You're watching Bell Alliant Community 1, the home of Inside the AUS. Make sure you join Inside for its third season coming up in 2 weeks. Your in-depth look at the coaches, administrators, fans, and athletes of Atlantic University Sport. Inside the AUS is available on demand and at bellalliant.net/community1. Inside the AUS, Bell Alliant Community 1's top-ranked show returns in 3 weeks.
Mike Hutchinson.
Contact information on the screen, on the email, and the Twitter. Hope to hear from you. If you're out there watching, who you're cheering for, shout-outs, comments, feedback, opinions, any interesting tidbits you have about the players, send them along. 1 ball, no strikes, and a big hearty hack there for Mike Hutchinson. Hutchinson, the third baseman. Vinton Farrell and Underwood. 2-1. Two and two. Just missing down low, 3-2. Ball 4 on Hutchinson.
Now at bat for Team Ontario is the second baseman, number 12, Vinton Farrell.
So Hutchinson down to first base, and here's Vinton Farrell. Farrell walked. Actually, Farrell on a fielder's choice. Oh no, Farrell was up at bat, sorry. On that last out. So Farrell, then Underwood, and then Carson. The runner at first. 0-1. And there for a strike, 1-1. Five nothing for the Rusty Jiggers through 2.5. Right back to Bishop. Goes the second to first and can't turn the double play. The throw up the right field line. But a great play by Bishop to Cox to get Hutchinson 1-6. But the relay throw, or the throw to first, was up the line. So Vinton Farrell will get the first on the fielder's choice. Bob Underwood and then Billy Carson. And then back to the top of the order if anyone should reach. on sunny, windy Charlottetown. Friday, what a Friday we've had. It started up with rain and then cleared up, and earlier in the day around noon it was unbelievably windy. It's been slowly settling down. We had Tropical Storm Christabel to deal with last night, but it pacified slowly but surely as the night went on. 0-1, but still the wind blowing. That goes off the umpire. He's going to call time. Hopefully he's okay. Pitcher asking if he's all right. Catcher apologizing for not getting that one, the foul tip. And the umpire taking it right in the chest. These umpires and catchers are tough dudes, man. Over the years, the number of softballs that they've taken in the body.
Now batting for Team Ontario, number 9.
Underwood out on strikes.
Billy Carson.
There's Billy Carson. So Underwood strikes out. There's Billy Carson. Coors Light will still be looking for their first hit when they come back in the top of the 4th with McGutty, Smith, and McLeod. Here's Carson. He had a single back in the 2nd. Came home and scored a run on an RBI by Kent Campbell. Fouls that one off. Oh, 1-2 quickly on Carson. Bishop a strike away from getting out. On the 0-2. Carson just puts a bat on it again. Chance for the third baseman, Ellis, and unable to make the catch at first is Cox. Just went off the top of his glove down there for Cox.
The left fielder, number 55, Kent Campbell.
So Cox can't make the play. Carson at first. Finton Farrell goes to third. With 2 outs, here's Kent Campbell. His 3rd appearance in 3 innings, or 3 innings. Kent grounded out to the pitcher. Had a single, an RBI, and scored a run back in the 2nd. Up high, 1-0. Down low, 2-0. So up high, down low, 2-0. And right now, Ken Campbell has himself a hitter's count. I thought about it, but it was off the plate. They'll check down to first. Did not go. And 3-0 coming up on Kent Campbell. So with 2 outs, another potential big inning here for the Rusty Jiggers. And therefore strike 3-1. Doubleheader action. 8 o'clock is the 2nd game. That's scheduled time. But pretty much about 30 minutes after this one ends. In there for a walk. And it is Carson moving on to 2nd. Farrell goes down to 3rd. And here's Kent Campbell at 1st. And Frank Farrell. Farrell had a double in the 1st. Scored a run. Then had a sacrifice fly RBI back in the 2nd. So a good day so far for Frank Farrell, the big catcher. Should Farrell reach, Ken Henry would come up. Off the plate, 1-0. Down to first, 1-1. Couldn't hold back. So the Jiggers with the bases loaded, trying to build on this 5-0 lead. Out into right center. that will get down. 1 run comes home. 2 runs come home. They will send 3 across, chugging across home plate is Kent Campbell. It is 8-0 for the Jiggers. Farrell, Carson, Campbell all score. 8-0 on a 3 RBI triple, or double, sorry, for a single. Check that out. A 3 RBI single for Farrell. How many times do you hear that? So a single for Farrell. He'll be replaced to put the gear on, but give him a single and 3 RBIs. So he's got a triple, a run scored, a sacrifice fly RBI, and a 3 RBI single. What a day he's having so far. 8-0 in the 3rd for Ontario. Big swing and a miss here by Ken Henry. Henry had an RBI single back in the 1st. Had a single and scored a run back in the 2nd. He's 2 for 2. Now 2 for 3. Swings underneath the riser. And that'll do it for Henry. But another big inning for the Rusty Jiggers. They send 7 men to the plate. They get 3 runs. A 3 RBI single by Frank Farrell. The big blow. And we'll go to the top of the 4th with Coors Light still looking for their first hit here, with McGutty, Smith, and McLeod coming up to face Dorrington, who has been dealing. 6 strikeouts and no hits allowed.
3 runs on 1 hit. There was 1 error and 1 runner was left on base. After 3 completed innings, Team Ontario leads the game with a score of 8-0.
This is from Ivan McPhee. Thank you very much, Ivan. Appreciate that. We were furiously trying to get rosters down before the game, so I never got a chance to talk to the coaches. But McEntee is the second baseman here for PEI. So Robbie McEntee is your second baseman. So think about doing PEI. They always have some real interesting ones, no matter how they're spelled. So thanks very much, Ivan McPhee, reaching out on the email. Off the plate, 2-0. This is Jeff Donaldson, Glenn Dorrington, and Mike Hutchinson all coming up. And they're for a ball, 3-0. A great crowd here tonight. People lined up. This is honestly, this is the best crowd that we've had here at Field 2. For the first 3 days, we had a whole bunch of seniors action here. But this first game of the Masters, this is the best crowd we've had here at Field 2 for PEI in Ontario. In there for a strike, 3-2. Top of the 4th action, 8-0. Swung on down the first base line, and there's the first hit for PEI.
Next at bat for Team PEI is the shortstop, number 77, Joey Smith.
And it is McCanty. Or McEntee. So McEntee gets the single. He's down at first base. That's the first hit against Dorrington. Give it to McEntee. Joey Smith now and Jeff McLeod coming up. Ooh, that hits Joey Smith. A little stinger, that's fine. It got him right on the top of the thigh. Might have a little bruise in the morning. And actually, the umpire might have took the worst of that. That got him in on the digits of his right hand. He's trying to shake it off.
Now at bat for Team PEI is the left.
So McEntee goes to second base. Joey Smith to first. And here's Jeff McLeod with runners at second and first. So the umpire, the catcher, trying to give the umpire a couple seconds to shake that off. If you ever get hit in the hands by a ball, obviously you know how much it hurts, but especially in this weather when it's frigid, it just stings so bad. In there for a strike, 0-1. Jeff McLeod, he struck out in the first inning. Chopper to third. Chance for Hutchinson, can't make the play. And not coming home is McEntee. Might have scored as Hutchinson tried to chase that ball towards first base. But just didn't feel like he committed soon enough, and he'll stay there at third. So McEntee at third, Smith at second, McLeod at first.
Number 27, Shannon Ellis.
And here's Shannon Ellis. All right, so Coors Light have something going here. 8-0, but the base is loaded in the fourth. Nobody out. In there for a strike. Across the belt. The 0-1. In there, 0-2. Two quick strikes on Ellis. Bishop and Cox to follow. In there, strike three. The change up on the outside corner. Ellis out on strikes. First out of the inning. A huge strikeout for Dorrington. That's his 7th. Mike Bishop. Bishop struck out in the second inning. A swinging strike, 0-1. In there, 0-2. 5 straight strikes thrown here by Dorrington. Starting to buckle down here with the bases loaded. Mike Bishop, the pitcher, would love to get a hit to help himself out. Strike 3, he won't. 2 straight strikeouts on 6 pitches from Dorrington. And now he's 1 out away from getting out of this jam. A single, a walk, a single, and then 2 strikeouts, and here's Gordy Cox, the first baseman. Cox struck out back in the second. 8 strikeouts now for Gordy, or for Dorrington. To third, Hutchinson can't squeeze it. And not happy is Hutchinson. Felt he should have made that play. It was a little tricky hop in the air just underneath his glove. Couldn't make the play. So Cox at first. Scoring is McEntee.
PEI Coors Light is the catcher, number 44, Chris McGregor.
And it's an 8-1 game. And everyone will slide over a spot. Smith to third. McLeod to second. Cox to first. And here's Chris McGregor. Chris grounded out to the pitcher in his first at bat, the catcher. Top of the fourth, Coors Light trying to respond here to these 8 runs put up by the Rusty Jiggers. That is on the outside portion, strike 1. Strike 2. Strike 3. Dorrington strikes out the side, but in between. 3 hits for the Coors Light of PEI. And they get a run to make this an 8-1 game. They leave 3 on.
At the top of the fourth inning, Team PEI scored 1 run on 1 hit. There were 2 errors and 3 runners left on base.
We go to the bottom of the fourth.
Softball Canada's player development site. Triple Play provides players, parents, and coaches with useful information about the sport of softball.
And an 8-1 game for the Jiggers.
enter contest,
Donaldson,
green
Dorrington,
box,
and
stars,
Hutchinson
and more on
coming
our
up
website.
for the representative of Ontario. And then Vinton Farrell, if anyone reaches. Well, friends, thanks so much for being with us. Again, contact information on the screen. Hope to hear from you throughout the broadcasts, live and interactive on Bell Alliant Community One. Our first game of the Masters session. Coming up right after this, these two teams do battle again, and then we'll go to a busy Saturday session before wrapping it up on Championship Sunday. And out there for his fourth inning of work is Bishop.
Now up for the Rusty Jiggers is the center fielder, number 43, Jeff Donaldson.
All right, so back to it here. Jeff Donaldson, Dorrington, and Hutchinson all coming up for the Rusty Jiggers with an 8-1 lead in the bottom of the fourth. So in the top of the fifth, the Coors Light PEI team will be looking to avoid the mercy rule. Just a matter of whether or not it'll be 7 runs and they only need 1, or if the Rusty Jiggers can add some runs on here in the bottom of the fourth. Quickly 0-2. 2 runs in the first, 3 runs in the second, and 3 runs in the third. Just off the plate, 1-2. Again, the sun's still shining, and everybody feeling pretty good, but we're about an hour away from getting pretty cold here. That's going to be a pop-up for the third baseman, and gets over the head of Ellis and in fair ground. So Ellis unable to make the catch, and then it blows back into third, or in play for a fair ball. And that's not the first time we've seen that happen. The same thing happened last night to a team. I can't recall which one, but it must have been the last game of the night, either the Souk Loggers or Team Quebec, where they started to call for the ball in foul ground and eventually missed it as it blew back into fair ground. So down to first goes Donaldson. Ball 3 or ball 2, check that, 2-0 on Dorrington. Dorrington walked. That is up high. 3-0. And Dorrington flew out to left field. Back in the second. He's the pitcher. This big thing for him right now, 8 strikeouts. He's only allowed 1 run. And he'll go down to first with a walk. So Dorrington's second walk of the game.
Third baseman, number 87, Mike Hutchinson.
Dorrington at first. Donaldson at second. And here's Mike Hutchinson. So with an 8-1 lead, Ontario threatening in the top or bottom of the fourth. And there for a strike. 0-1. Again, we're right back to it here. After this one, doubleheader action. 0-2. to short. Chance for double play. Smith, McEntee, unable to hold on at first is Cox. I don't think they would have had him anyways. But Smith to McEntee, they will get Dorrington out at second base.
Now batting for the Rusty
Donaldson goes to
second
third.
baseman, number
Hutchinson
12,
at first
Quinton Farrell.
on the fielder's choice. So Donaldson at third, Hutchinson at first, and here's Fenton Farrell. With one out, Bob Underwood to follow. Into right field. Unable to get it is the second baseman, McEntee. That'll score a run. It looked like it was going to go into right field off the bat. We got the tent here, so once it elevates at all, we pretty much lose sight of it. But it looked like it was going to go to right field, but kind of blooped down just on the cusp of the grass. And unable to make the play was McEntee. Donaldson scores. It's now 9-1. To second goes Hutchinson, and Fenton Farrell at first with a single. 9-1 in the fourth inning. And we might have a Tracy Woolridge coming in here to hit for the Rusty Jiggers.
Now that is number
It is.
4, Tracy Woolridge.
So Tracy Woolridge will come in to hit for for Bob Underwood, the right fielder. Woolridge batting from the left side. Got that straight up, classic kind of relaxed stance as the pitcher starts to come to, and then he gets that elbow out and gets ready to swing. 1-1. Runners at second and first. Hutchinson at second. Farrell at first. Swung on, and that is deep to right center and gone. A 3-run Bell Alliance bomb for Tracy Woolridge. And it is 12-1 now for Ontario. 3 RBIs for Woolridge.
Now batting for the Rusty Jiggers is the first baseman, number 99, Billy Carson.
So Bill Carson, the first baseman, coming up here. 4 runs in the inning. 2 in the first, 3 in the second, 3 in the third, now 4. 12-1. Bill Carson out in front of that first pitch. Inside 1-1. What a blast by Tracy Woolridge off the bench. Got a pitch he liked and goes yard. 240 down left and right field lines here. That was probably a 270 shot to right center. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Little chopper that goes foul on the first base side or third base side. Well, so when Coors Light comes up in the top of the 5th, they'll need to score 5 runs to avoid being mercied. A full count on Bill Carson. To third. Ellis over to first, and the throw is in the dirt, gets past the first baseman, Cox. And that'll put Carson on board. So that's an E5. Basically, Ellis made the play.
Number 55, Kent Campbell.
With a throw to first. Comes up short. Cox couldn't scoop it. And Carson at first. And back to the top of the order to Kent Campbell. This is his 4th appearance in 4 innings. He's had a busy day. Had a single. scored a run. Walked and scored a run. 1 for 2. High and out of play down the first base side. To second. Nicely done. And a double play ball here. There was 1 out in the inning. Campbell lines out to McEntee. McEntee to Cox. And they get Billy Carson too far off of first base. So a great double play ball by McEntee to get out of the inning.
Team Ontario scored 4 runs on 2 hits. There were 2 errors and no runner was left on base. After 4 completed innings, Team Ontario leads the game with a score of 12-1.
So we go to the top of the 5th. Coors Light trying to stave off the mercy rule. They're going to need 5 runs. Dorrington out there to try to close this one out. He's got 8 strikeouts through 4 innings. The only time that Coors Light got to him a little bit was in the 4th. They sent 7 men to the plate. He had a single, a walk, and a single. Then 2 strikeouts and a single to score the run. Dorrington would go on to strike out the side in the inning. But in between all that, they did manage to get a run on a single or 3 singles and a walk.
Coming to bat for PEI Coors Light is the right fielder, number 54, Derek Morrison.
So Coors Light in tough here. Here's Derek Morrison. Derek popped out to the first baseman in his first at bat. Again, should we finish up here early, your next start time is 8 o'clock. In the dirt. And that is off 2-0. So a pitch in the dirt, a pitch to the backstop, and not a good start for Dorrington. He'll try to settle down here. He's got an 11-run cushion in the top of the 5th, and swinging at the 2-0. Morrison thought he might have a 2-0 pitch to line up, but it was just a little bit inside. And now they'll do it on 2-1. Two and two. So Dorrington catches up. Here's your 2-2. Just off the plate inside, 3-2. Three balls and 2 strikes. High into the air. And heads up over there by where you buy your tickets. Welcome to the ball yard. Get a ticket and get a ball off the top of the head. And unhappy with that call is Derek Morrison. That is a called strike 3 on Morrison. So Morrison out on strikes.
The center fielder, number 34, Blaine Thibault.
Here's Blaine Thibault. 1-0 on Tebow. 2 strikeouts so far for Blaine. Dorrington has 9 in the game. 1-2. Actually, check that. No balls, 2 strikes. Here comes Dorrington. Strike. No, just getting enough. Unable to hold on to it was McGregor. McGregor. In there for a ball. 1-2. Or 2-2, check that. No. Man, the wind is just pushing the ball down. That looked like it was destined for left field. Ended up being an easy play for Henry at short. So Tebow out to short.
11, Robbie McKenty.
And down to the last out is McKenty. Ball 1 on McKenty. And there for a strike, 1-1. Again, we're back on the air at 8 o'clock with your second game. 55 minutes from now, should this one end here. 2-1. And there for a strike, 2-2. Coors Light down to their final strike. Just off the plate, 3-2. Up high, getting a walk is McEntee.
Now coming to bat.
Well, we talked about this last night. In these situations, obviously, this is pretty bleak for Coors Light.
Joey Smith.
12-1. But 2 things in fast pitch, you never know when you just might put up a 7 or 8 spot, even with 2 outs. We've seen that before. Teams just get on a roll and they put up a whole bunch of runs with 2 outs to get themselves back in the game. And guys do not mail in at bats, no matter what the score is. When a guy is up there, he is going to try to get a knock. 2-0. Out in front, 2-1. In there for a strike, 2-2. So once again, Dorrington a strike away from finishing this one off. Over there in field 1, 6-0. That is hit out to left field, and that'll do it. Campbell slides over to make the catch. Smith will finish the day 1 for 2. Dorrington will finish with 9 strikeouts. And then 12-1 final for the Rusty Jiggers. So friends, you've been watching a presentation of Bell Alliant Community One, your leader in local sports webcasting in Atlantic, Canada. The 2014 Senior Men's Canadian Championships from Charlottetown, PEI. Don't go anywhere. Player of the game is still coming up. I think they are anyway, so it's been the trend. Maybe not. So you've been watching a presentation of Battle Line Community 1. We'll be back in about 50 minutes to get you ready. No, we will. Sorry, hold on. The players, I don't think, are aware. They're all getting ready to